morning. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, January 16th, 2013. It's 9 a.m. We're at the Palm Coast Community Center for the regularly scheduled meeting of the Palm Coast City Council. Would you please rise and join me in a Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Mayor Netz?
Here.
Vice Mayor McGuire?
Here.
Councilmember DiLorenzo?
Here.
Councilmember Ferguson?
Here.
Councilmember Lewis?
Here.
Mayor, all members are present.
Thank you very much. First item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes of the December 18th council meeting and the January 8th council workshop. Are there any additions, corrections, or is there a motion for approval?
Move approval.
Second. Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries that objection. Agenda item number 2, presentation of the Pink Army 5K proceeds donation to the Florida Hospital Flagler Foundation Cancer Fund. Come on, guys.
Good morning. I'm Cindy Brownfield with Community Relations, and we'd like to invite the Florida Hospital team up, and the mayor will present the check, and we'll do a photo. You all want to speak?
Of course.
Okay. Well, actually, do you want to speak now? Do this first?
We'll speak after we get the check.
Okay.
First things first. First things first. Get that check.
Okay, here we go. We're going to take a couple. This will be 1, 2, 3, 4. Had the tensionals.
Thank God we had a dragon.
All right. 1, 2. Thank you very much. And I think
Good morning, and thank you, John. My name is Tony Papandrea. I'm the chairman of the Florida Hospital Flagler Foundation. I'm here with John Subers, our executive director, Bill Toll. Where'd they go? They're leaving me. Bill Toll is our development officer, and Elaine, who is a tireless worker for the Pink Army. On behalf of Florida Hospital Flagler and the foundation, thank you for that check. You all heard of Y2K. Well, this is Y2. This is our second year of partnership with the city in this event. And it's really comforting and something special to have a partnership with the city, and not only with the city, but with the community. 2 years ago, we started with 350 people. This past year, we had 500 runners and walkers. I was one of the walkers. And I invite you all to come next year, and maybe we'll get 750. And the money, I will tell you a little bit about the money. The first and foremost thing is every penny of that money stays here in Flagler County, and it's for the benefit of the women in Flagler County. And to put that in perspective, over the past couple years, our hospital and foundation has helped over 60 women be able to get mammograms and be able to go through diagnostics and some even treatment. And if you stand down at our Women's Center and you have one woman come in and say, "You saved my life," then the walk is worth it. And I want to thank all of you for what you do and how you support us. Thank you. John Subers has a word or two.
Thank you, Tony, and wish I could bottle Tony's enthusiasm with regards to his support of the hospital and the foundation. I come to you before you today really with my Florida Hospital Flagler hospital hat on with regards to the thanks of the City of Palm Coast, the Run series that you all manage and provide, and what that's doing for Florida Hospital Flagler. We are on an initiative in Flagler County, in Palm Coast, to fight obesity. We are partnering with several Flagler County schools and utilizing our Run series that Lisa Gardner manages to have the kids come out and run. We start from the kids will educate the parents as well. And it's just a collaboration of Florida Hospital Flagler being a healthcare provider with a vision of a healthier community and utilizing already established runs, environment, all the things that we love and live in Palm Coast for. And it's a great collaboration and support. So thank you for the Run Series. Thank you for your promotion and your support of our Pink Army Run. We'll do more, and we'll be more involved in all of the 5K runs throughout the city of Palm Coast. So with that, guys, thank you very much.
Thank you. Agenda item number 3, presentation on the results of the Christmas tree and electronics recycling event.
Another very successful green event that Carol and the green team coordinated, and Carol's going to highlight the successes.
Good morning. Good morning, Mayor and City Council. I am pleased to be here to give you the results of the 6th annual Christmas tree recycling. And as you can see, we actually made it on the cover of the News Journal for January 9th, so we were very pleased about that. But we took in 220 trees. Last year, we took in about 192. So we are increasing. Every year, we're going up. We took in 2,337 pounds of electronics. That's actually down from last year, but that's because we are not accepting televisions. Televisions were, the big heavyweight last year. And then we gave away 150 trees. So a lot of people come to turn in their trees, and then some of them decide that, you know what, I have too many trees in my yard already. I really don't want to plant another one. We're just thrilled to come out and give you our Christmas tree and also turn in some of our electronics. And then this year we had some of our students that were on site, and they took some random polls with some of our participants, and we found out that we had 45 new folks that came out, new residents that came out to participate in the Christmas tree recycling. So it was very exciting. Not only that, but we had a lot of people who have done this for 4, 5, and 6 years in the past. So we're very thrilled. It's really becoming a part of the holiday season for a lot of Palm Coast residents. So I hope and invite all of you to come on out and bring your Christmas tree. That is, if you do a live tree. If not, that's okay. I'm hoping I'll convert you eventually. But it's a great program. And not just the trees, but also we're having a lot more participation with our students. We also had Girl Scout troops that were on site, and they were taking in gift wrap and styrofoam. The gift wrap, they're going to be making an art project, which will be featured at Arbor Day on May 4th out in Central Park. And then the styrofoam they're taking to a vendor in St. Augustine that will be recycling the styrofoam. I have not received totals on that yet, but I do know that they took in probably about twice of what they took in last year. So people are starting to save that stuff and remember that they can bring it that day after New Year's for our event. So it's just becoming a really good event, really good community spirit too.
Thank you. Is that it?
That's it. Any questions?
Council questions, comments? Thank you very much for another job well done.
Mr. Mayor. Great event. Good job. I was out there for the 2nd consecutive year.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. We had bags and bags of wrapping paper in our garage for an extra week, but we were able to store it away and bring it out and get the tree chipped up. So it was great.
Wonderful. I appreciate, all of you doing that, and also the residents for, saving all that stuff. I know, kind of stepping over and tripping over in the garage, but it's definitely worth it to come out, and you can just bring everything in one fell swoop. So we're very, very pleased, and hopefully it'll just keep on growing and getting bigger, and we'll, I'm hoping to eventually take in 1,000 trees one of these days.
Great.
Thank you
Very much. Agenda item number 4, presentation by the Northeast Florida Regional Council for Award for Excellence in Environmental Stewardship. I suspect that we're going to be introducing Mr. Brian Teeple. Let me just, by prefacing Mr. Teeple's comments, tell you that he is the Executive Director of Northeast Regional Council. I've had the pleasure of working with him for quite a few years now, representing Flagler County on that council. Brian is probably one of the most knowledgeable individuals in local government that you'll ever get to meet. So with that, 10 cents worth of praise. Mr. Teeple.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. It's really nice to know that I've at least got the mayor fooled. On behalf of the Northeast Florida Regional Council, which represents the 7 counties and 27 municipalities in Northeast Florida, it's really my honor and pleasure today to present the 2012 Award for Excellence in Environmental Stewardship to the City of Palm Coast. Just a little bit of history. For the last 12 years, we've held an elected officials reception and regional awards ceremony in a variety of categories, one of which is environmental stewardship. We determined a number of years ago that there was tremendous things going on in our 7 counties and 27 municipalities that oftentimes were not adequately highlighted. So we developed this competition, and it's gone along very, very well, and the City of Palm Coast is a perennial applicant. Don't always win, but win more often than not. This year, the award goes to the city's solid waste and recycling program. It's through the leadership of the city, the mayor, the city council, the city manager, the community development department, Ray Tyner, Denise Bevan, Diane Torino, that I stand before you today. By the way, the application that Denise put together is probably the best application I've ever seen in our awards program. It was clear, concise, and compelling. And for planners, I knew that would get the city manager laughing. For us planners, clear, concise, and compelling is sometimes an elusive goal. I know you do, sir. You know, I was reflecting on my drive down here this morning. You know, the city of Palm Coast is a young city, barely 13 years old. You have created a tremendous history that belies the shortness of your incorporation. You truly are a leader in not only the region, but frankly the state, particularly in the environmental stewardship programs that you undertake. Palm Coast understands that sustainability is not only makes good sense from a community quality of life and sustainability perspective, but it makes good business sense as well. The city's recycling and solid waste program is phenomenally outstanding. As I read what goes on, and I live in the consolidated city of Jacksonville, and we have a reasonably robust recycling and solid waste program in the consolidated city of Jacksonville, I looked at what you guys were doing and I said, wow, this is just simply amazing. Doorstop household hazardous waste removal. I have to take my hazardous waste to an industrial part of the city of Jacksonville in kind of a sketchy neighborhood, and you check your mirrors as you go in, and they're wonderfully professional and phenomenal nice people who handle you there. But you know, there's one spot in the entire consolidated city of Jacksonville for nearly 1 million people, and you pick it up at the doorstep. Single stream recycling. More and more communities are going to single stream recycling, but that kind of an activity really provides an incentive for the homeowners to actually recycle. If I'm not having to separate out my plastics and my cans and my paper, if I can just put it all in one bin and put it to the street curb, I'm going to be more incentivized to want to participate. And then finally, the recycling rewards program that you have with your provider. I decided a long time ago I'm too old and technology is either not my friend or I do not understand it, but the city embraced technology with the radio frequency identification device to allow your handler to determine who's actually doing recycling and again continue to incentivize them. I'm also, by the way, the state president of the American Planning Association, another one of my planners. I'm going to pitch planners. And in my 2-year term, and I'm about halfway through that, I do have the opportunity to go around the state. You know, 67 counties, 410 municipalities. It's a great state, soon to become the 3rd largest state in the union. And as I look around and see some examples of great things that are going on in our state, I'm always reminded that the city of Palm Coast really is a leader, and there's really no other community out there who holds a candle to you. And with that, Mr. Mayor, my sincere congratulations to the city, to the leadership, and to your staff for this well-deserved award.
Thank you very much, Brian. Job well done.
Thank you. And
Let's get a
Denise and Diana are gonna come up and,
I think we should get council up there also. Come on, council.
come on, everybody.
Your leadership.
You guys deserve this. Wow. It's a chunk of granite. There you go, is it recyclable? That's a good weapon. Squeeze in, folks.
We'll do a couple. 1, 2. Try to make one.
Thank you, sir.
Gosh, I'll stay awake all night worrying about that.
No, I'm telling you. All right.
All right.
Let's see. It brings us to agenda item number 5, a resolution approving a contract with S.E. Klein Construction for construction of the Three Sisters Water Control Structure Complex Rehabilitation Project thing. Mr. Landon.
Mayor, City Council, this is the major weir project for this fiscal year. We refer to it as Three Sisters because it's actually 3 weirs. It's down south of State Road 100 in the U section just to the west of 95. Got a little aerial to show everybody where it is and how it ties together. This project was one of the first projects we've done with pre-qualification. We've had concerns about contractors bidding on projects that they were not qualified. So we've gone through that. We had 3 well-qualified contractors bid. Klein Construction got the low bid. In this case, about a little over $1,200,000, if I recall. Mike, is that correct? That's also was our engineer's estimate, so we think it was a good, fair bidding process. It's within budget, in fact, we're a little under budget at this point, so city staff is recommending approval of this contract with Klein Construction. Mike is here to answer any of the detailed questions if you have any. It's something we've been talking about for many months. He's here to answer any questions you have.
Council questions? Mr. Ferguson.
When this project is initiated, do they do something on all 3 at the same time, or does one site get fixed first, and then the second, and then the third?
I believe that the contractor has scheduled to work on all 3 structures concurrently at the same time. And that's why we bid it out as one package, because they're so close to each other. Figure the mobilization and all that would be less expensive, do them all at once rather than do them piecemeal.
Thank you.
Your Honor. Mike, what's the condition currently of this system, and what's the timetable for doing this project? The contractor submitted a schedule for us that he wishes to begin around the 1st of February, so that should put him out. We estimate substantial completion in about 6 months, so it's February, March, April, sometime August, July timeframe. And during this 6 months' time, Mike, how is the usage of those runoffs accomplished if you're in the middle of construction? We're going to set up bypass systems. Okay. That's primarily why I like to call this period of time January through July, August, our digging season, because we expect less rainfall at this time of the year. Makes the job easier. Okay, thank you.
Have we had any flooding as a result of the deterioration of those weirs?
No, sir, we haven't really had any flooding as a result of the deterioration of those weirs. But those weirs, those canals down there seasonally go dry in the summertime. And what we're trying to do is improve the retention of the stormwater behind those weirs while still providing flood control, so we can raise the water table up and restore the wetlands and other things in that area.
Is that a manual operation or is it automatic?
It's going to be automatic, electric operation. Right now it's manual. It's a series of wooden boards that we've not been able to keep sealed up because they're so old and the pipes are deteriorated. So that's why we're putting an emphasis on getting this one done.
What is the impact if if it was to fail and we were to have a washout environmental aesthetic? What are the impacts that could occur?
Well, when there's a very tiny culvert going under I-95 and a large flush of water through there could damage the interstate. And I tried to get a grant from FEMA for this particular project, but it didn't meet all of their criteria, I assume, or they had greater needs elsewhere. In addition to that, if we lost all that water, a good portion of the southern portion of the city would be absolutely dry almost. All the water would just go down the Bulow Creek.
Okay, I have to ask. Since Mr. Teeple's already left, he won't get this, but at the Northeast Regional Council, we had to approve a comprehensive plan change for one of our neighboring counties, and they wanted to allow on this one piece of property 1 horse and or 1 cow. And there were several of us who felt that that was gender discrimination, since cow is the female of the species. Why is this the 3 sisters? Why isn't this the 3 brothers? I know there's the 7 sisters when you get to colleges, but...
Well, I have another project that's years in advance. I call it the 3 Caballeros, so that...
Okay. Just arbitrary and capricious.
Just arbitrary and just...
Any other council questions? If not, we'll open the meeting to the public. And for the public, wish to be heard on agenda item number 5. Seeing no one approach the podium, and close the public portion of the meeting. Go back to council. Additional questions, comments, or a motion?
Move to approve.
Second. Move to approve. Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries without objection. Agenda item number 6. Select liaison appointments for various service organizations for 2012-2013. Mr. McGuire, you right now are the proud holder of 3 assignments. And Mr. Ferguson is the proud holder of none. Now, that may be by design, I don't know, but...
Well, Your Honor, to clarify that, 2 of those assignments have never materialized into anything of substance. I still have no idea what I'm supposed to do at Stuart Marchman, for example. What my role is when I called over there and talked to them, they didn't have a clue either. So,
would you be willing to give up either or both of those?
as much as it pains me to do so, I'm willing to sacrifice that.
Mr. Ferguson, would you be interested in those assignments? It sounds like a relatively easy workload. And this doesn't preclude anything else, but...
I was appointed by this council, so I'm pretty much at your mercy for what you give me to work on.
No, not St. John.
Is there a motion to appoint Councilman Ferguson to liaison to Stuart Marchman and the Water Management District?
Yeah, it is. I make such a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you.
This brings us to the consent agenda, items 7 through 10. Anyone wish to remove anything from the consent agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries without objection. This brings us to the public participation portion of the meeting. Anyone from the public wish to be heard on any item not on today's agenda, please give us your name, limit your contribution to 3 minutes.
Nobody from the public here.
Good timing. We're just open public participation.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm Dennis McDonald. With this being the first City Council meeting of 2013, let's focus on what this body is elected to do: represent the electors. You did not campaign to raise taxes or fees, and you did not campaign to increase burden on the public with excessive regulation. Not one of you ran on a pledge to implement these actions, yet it appears to the Palm Coast taxpayers this is your primary agenda. You insult our intelligence and violate all rules of reason and logic. We all know you cannot continue to spend like trust fund children. Change your mode of operation, please, gentlemen. I watched your first workshop meeting this year and came away wondering, who do these guys represent? The best example is Mr. DiLorenzo. Watch the video. How many times did Mr. DiLorenzo say, the chamber? Count them. Did the chamber elect Mr. DiLorenzo? I wonder how the Palm Coast taxpayers feel about this. When I heard it, I could not help but wonder, why is he advocating so hard? Is it because Mrs. DiLorenzo, who runs the day-to-day operation of the chamber, or is it because the chamber has been running a $50,000 deficit without the chamber's board of directors' full knowledge? Either way, this illustrates my point. Why is this happening? General public perception is Jim Landon is an unelected manager driving your actions. That's why it's been suggested that we switch to a strong mayor form of government. We know how it's working, and the public wants to elect the person who is spending our dollars and burdening us with the regulations. So, gentlemen, I ask you to kick the bad habits for 2013 and beyond. As a reminder of the voter's voice, I would like to present you, the council, with a framed, notarized official copy of the November 2005 referendum on the City Hall proposal. 82% no. I cannot imagine what that vote would be today in these bleak times. At New Year's, one of our illustrious news editors asked, "What's the best advice you ever got?" Allow me to share mine. It came from a very wise man, my dad. He would always say, stand in the other guy's shoes for 60 seconds and see how it feels. This portion of the meeting, the public comment, is not just a requirement of policy documents, it's to listen to your constituents and take away, under advisement, your salary payers' direction. The public comment continues daily in our press. We are not reading the paper. If you're not reading the papers, you should be reading the papers and should not be explaining it away as Mayor Nett seems so able to do. Please use what you hear in a positive way and respect all the voters of Palm Coast and I ask you to commit money to projects as if the money was only coming from yourselves. Stand in our shoes, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Next speaker. Seeing no one approach the podium, we'll close the public portion meeting, come back to the City Council. Mr. DiLorenzo, do you have any response since you were named specifically?
I would just say that small businesses are residents too, and they should be heard as well.
Thank you. Okay, discussion by City Council of matters not on the agenda. Let's start with Mr. McGuire.
Nothing to offer, Your Honor.
Mr. Lewis.
None this morning.
Mr. DiLorenzo.
No.
Mr. Ferguson.
I don't have anything to offer today, sir.
And unusually, I usually don't, but I'd like to tell you a little story.
That's true.
I'd like to tell you a little story. I was sitting at home December 24th, Christmas Eve day. And I received a phone call from a fellow I've known for many years. He's been a longtime Palm Coast resident, very active in community affairs, serving on various boards in the county. And he called me, he says, "John," he said, "I've got a problem." "What's your problem?" He said, "I've got a coyote in my canal." As you can imagine, there was a pause. I said, "Tell me again." He said, "There's a coyote swimming in my canal, and because of the seawalls, he can't get out. And I suspect he's been there all night, and he's exhausted, and so on and so on and so forth." He said, "I've exhausted my resources. I've called everybody I can think of. I've called the Sheriff's Department. They referred me to Fish and Wildlife. I called Fish and Wildlife. They referred me to a trapper. I called the trapper. He referred me to Fish and Wildlife." He said, "I don't know who else to call." And I said, "Well, I really don't know either." I said, "One thing you might try, I'll make a couple phone calls myself, but in the meantime, get a step ladder, put the step ladder down in a canal right where the coyote is, and maybe he can find his way on it and clamber up out of the canal." I called a friend of mine who's a nice guy, boater like myself, and a mush when it comes to animals. I know he spends a lot of his time and energy and effort and money helping animals, not as part of any organized group, just on his own. I called him, and he said, well, maybe you could fish him out with a net. I said, this, what they tell me, is a full-grown coyote. Anyway, make a long story short, I went and borrowed the towboat from the Palm Coast Marina, and my friend drove over by car. By the time we got there, the coyote had wedged himself between a piling and the seawall. It was out of the water now, but still 3 feet from the top of the canal, couldn't get out. One foreleg and neck was stuck between the piling and the seawall, and obviously the thing was close to death. Well, nothing I could do with the boat. My friend had brought the biggest garbage can you've ever seen. Must be a commercial garbage can, a couple of lines. And we kind of said, okay, well, if you lower the garbage can below the coyote, and then maybe we can poke at him with a... Make a long story short, the coyote drops into the bucket. They pull the bucket out. Now we're on land. My friend calls down to me. He says, now what? I don't know. Why don't you get behind the bucket, tip it, and see if he'll come out? Well, he did. Came out, lay there for a couple seconds, struggled to his feet, and then kind of limped off and limped into the neighbor's garage. Now we're sitting there saying, oh my Lord, out of the frying pan into the fire, have we made things worse? I'm searching my mind, trying to think of what the appropriate, who do you call? Who's got coyote control containers? Anyway, now the coyote's in the home. I said, have we made things worse? Made things better? Who knows? Coyote curled up in a corner. I suspect in coyote consciousness, it's when you're that cold, when you're that hypothermic, when you're that close to death, you're just looking for some place where you can get away. Well, the fellow who owned the home of the coyote was now ensconced. He said, all right, guys, I'll take it from here. And I found out later on that he went in through a couple of old blankets in the corner, kind of half covering the coyote, and later that day he took a plate of dog food and kind of pushed it in the coyote's direction with a broom handle. And we went our way and said, I don't know what we've done, if we made things better or not. Now we've got a wild animal in a suburban community, in a home, in a garage anyway. Anyway, make a long story short, 2 days later, a wildlife trapper came. I was able to cage the coyote and took him off and did a release in the wild where other coyotes are known to live. And I just got a note the other day from one of the neighbors who'd called me initially, and he said, I want to thank you and especially your friend with the... I thought, now, there were 4 people there, didn't know each other, not part of any organized group. Christmas Eve day, did what I thought was a really, really nice kind of thing. And the word hero kind of comes to your mind. But that's a word we overuse all the time. This community of ours is filled with heroes. You've got people that collect food and clothing for those in need. You've got organizations like Habitat for Humanity who build homes, decent housing for people in need. You've got people who work with the homeless. You've got Hospital Board Foundation. You've got Education Foundation workers. You've got Flagler Volunteer Services that husbands hundreds of thousands of hours of volunteer services in our community. You've got people who work with the homeless. You've got people who work with children that are abused. You've got people who work with battered wives. And the list goes on and on and on and on. These people are truly heroes also. But I think back to these 4 guys. 2 of them were across the canal neighbors, and 2 were just one guy I'd called, another guy who showed up, getting together to do something. Probably in the light of eternity, it didn't amount to a heck of a lot. I don't know if coyotes have any sense of consciousness or appreciation, but I bet you they were heroes to the coyote. But the reason I tell you this whole story is that this is indicative of our community. We are a helping community. We are filled with people who will go out of their way to do small acts of kindness every day. And I just want to comment as we start the new year, it makes me proud to be mayor of a community such as this. Thank you very much. Discussion by city attorney of matters not on the agenda.
Mayor, there is no way I can top your coyote in the canal story, so I have no report.
No polar bears?
No.
Discussion by city manager of matters not on the agenda.
Facts follow, but I do have a reminder that we have our public meeting regarding the proposed utility rate study and fees for the coming year tonight, this room at 6 p.m. It's intended to provide the public an opportunity to see the proposal and provide you feedback. There won't be action by City Council. That will come later in February, but this is an opportunity for the public to hear about the capital improvement program and how we plan to pay for it.
Okay.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you very much. There will be no action taken at tonight's meeting. This is just strictly public input.
Strictly for the public, both informational to them and input, but no action by City Council.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Vice Mayor,
Move to adjourn, Your Honor.
we are adjourned. Thank you very much.